What is going on, guys? Brandon here. We have your market update today, Monday, February 6th, 2023. Let's jump right into this. So we see really in the first time in days, really probably a couple weeks, some real movement in the markets. And as we say all the time, it's because of the dog wagging the tail. It's not the stock market. The stock market is really this little thing at the end of the day that everyone just, is trying to be traders and options and all these different stuff. The bond market, the credit market is what really drives everything. And we've had some movement there. We've had some movement in the credit market. We've had some movement in the DXY subsequently, which kind of shows us what's happening at the end of the day. And then stocks are a derivative of all those things. So stocks, honestly, didn't, the last few days they kind of moved a little bit, but not as much. And they closed down a little bit because of the credit market selling off, which drives the bonds, the yields up. So this is again, we talk about this every single day and beat this over everyone's head. This is how the markets move until some type of deflationary digital money blows this all up, which it will eventually happen. This is the life we live in right now, in this fiat Ponzi we live in. It's the credit markets, these debt markets that are the electrical outlet plugged into itself, right? We're taking out debt that the taxpayer then has to just pay back with interest on. That's our national debt. So pay back ourselves. We take out a bond and then I'm paying taxes to pay back myself. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not sure what the government is investing in. That all of a sudden they're making a return. Do they own Apple or Google now? Do they own GM or Boeing? Oops, too soon, I guess. So this is the clown world we live in, guys. And this is why we in this channel are building a community of different thinkers, people who think differently, who prepare, and not preppers, prepare, and they act differently. Building a community of people who are doing things differently for themselves and their family that is going to ride these tsunami-like waves that are crashing on the financial system, have been crashing for at least 14 years, and will continue crashing, getting even bigger. So gold and silver down, really big moves, 2 to 4% really in gold and silver respectively over the last few days. Just crazy movements in gold and silver, which is really, really fascinating to see. Again, at the end of the day, I love having silver and gold. And silver is so needed inside of anything that we want to do electronically or whatever. Silver is so needed, such a small market that little moves, like Warren Buffett, I believe, could buy, I'm trying to think he could, with like a fraction of his available cash, I believe he has. I think they have 130 billion or something in cash at Berkshire, and he could buy the entire silver market. I think with plenty of room to spare, like maybe a couple times over, something like that. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but you could look into that. Trust but verify, right? Verify what I'm saying. Do your own homework. Do your own research. DYOR. But that's how small the market is. The point of saying all this is the market is very small. So these little moves, kind of like Bitcoin in a way, right? Silver is a couple of spots ahead in the asset standings, but that's how small these markets are. So a little bit of volume comes in and boom, you're gonna see these prices. And again, the crazy thing about a Bitcoin, for instance, is that a lot of it's locked up. A ton of it, a vast majority of it is locked up into cold storage, meaning it's not even available easily to sell at an exchange. So this little supply, this is what's really crazy. You have all this Bitcoin, we'll say the total market, and then only this little bit of supply that's available on an exchange or on exchanges to be traded. So when big money is coming in, that has to be bid up, and there's only so much to go around. So now you're gonna have to get higher and higher prices. You can see exponentially very quickly as these bull markets, as these halvings kind of go through here in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. You're gonna see this continue to play out. Also, not to mention because it's the only finite asset we have besides our time. So you can see why people are going to start seeing this trade and saying, why would I trade my infinite time for, my finite time, why would I trade that for infinite pieces of paper, infinite digits on a computer, infinite blades of grass, or infinite grains of sand? I'm only trading my finite time for other finite assets. The only one I know of, again, is Bitcoin. So the gold and silver, down. Really, really interesting here. But the big thing, oil is down too. Again, that's another, the big things to look for are oil and the DXY, or the relative strength of the dollar compared to other currencies, and the 10-year yield. Those three are kind of like the trifecta, the trilemma. And if you want to kind of get a pulse as well of what's going on, you look at Bitcoin, obviously, the really gold, the quick reactors of global liquidity and what's going on. So oil down $73 a barrel, crazy, really crazy there. And the 10-year, I wish I had the chart, and I'll show it tomorrow. It's bumped up it's really the first time it's kind of breaking out almost. I'm not a technical analysis guy, but it's really kind of bucking the trend. We've had this downtrend over the last 2 to 3 months, as we've been telling everyone. There's this buying of bonds going on, driving the yields down. So people all around the world, whatever it is, endowments, sovereigns, everyone's been buying bonds, and this rush has been out of the dollar. So the strength of the dollar has been going down. People are selling out of that asset. So the price is coming down, and they're buying into bonds, which is driving the yields down. Well, now we've had a little bit of a change in that. So let's watch that closely. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see what Dr. Jeff Ross is saying on that, because he's turned bullish. When he was all bearish last year, has just turned bullish because of the underlying sentiment and what's going on here, the numbers. But we'll see what goes on this week here. This is really fascinating what's going on. And in a quick search like CNBC, stuff like that, I'm not diving too deep into like what's moving the bond market, because at the end of the day, we want to keep our eyes on it, but I don't care. Like, I'm focused on building and educating the new world, the new monetary system, the new financial world, and really just the new world in general, and the new technological world we're gonna live in on the new, on just this new monetary network, Web 5.0, Bitcoin, Jack Dorsey, what they're building. This is the new world. It's the new frontier. So I'm more focused on that world and doing that. Think about how real estate's going to be in that world. Think about what bonds are going to be like in that world, and just repricing everything. As they say in Bitcoin breaks all your models. So the 10 years up to 3.6, crazy. Bitcoin's, right about 23,000. It was up to 24 over the weekend. Came back down into the 22 and a half, high 22s, right about 23,000 right now. Stocks chop around a little bit, down a little bit. And the DXY, like we said, the relative strength is back up to 103.6. So it's up a couple points from what it was a few days ago. So again, the 10-year and the DXY and the oil dropping a ton, and the 10-year yield and the DXY jumping up really is kind of the news of the day. And this is what people are kind of looking at. And this is kind of like that, they raised rates last week again, and it's priced in. So people are like, they're happy for like a day. And then all of a sudden you kind of see it reverse course, and people realize, wait, this data is completely fake. We just did a video. Please go back and watch the videos from Friday, and I believe maybe Saturday we put one out as well, about the complete fraud that is the job numbers and what's going on. I mean, again, if you believe the job numbers, then why don't you believe the CPI numbers? The inflation, we show all the time how inflation, literally, if you use the 1980 numbers, we'd be at 16, 17% inflation, not 6%. So if you know that they're lying to you about CPI, or they're lying to you about it being transitory, or weapons of mass destruction, or you name it, right? That Obamacare is going to drop your premiums $2,500. If you keep believing I'm not going to say sauce, because it's not sauce, it's not a signal, but if you keep believing the garbage of propaganda that keeps coming out of your government, administration after administration, then I don't know what to tell you at the end of the day. We're here to cut through the noise, ask why, ask what is actually going on, dig deep, and figure out the truth. Question with boldness, even the existence of God himself, right? This is what we're doing here. So follow this closely. We'll see if this trend, again, we need some more confirming data here in the coming days, probably a couple of weeks, to see if this is really going to reverse all of a sudden. But an interesting pop in the market. So that's really the market update for today, Monday, February 6th. Please let me know your comments. Really, really fascinating stuff, though. Keep your eye on the DXY, on the relative strength of the dollar. Keep your eye on the bond, 10-year treasury. Keep your eye on oil. Keep your eye on gold and Bitcoin as well. If you kind of have those 5 things really kind of wrapped up, and you're monitoring those things, and we know Bitcoin's running. I looked at the dashboard earlier. I looked at the mempool. The blocks are coming in perfect. Everything's good. The sun's up, as Nolan says. Nolan Bowerlay. Bitcoin's running. It's all stuff to do is talk about what's new. And that's what's new. So check that out. Keep an eye on that. We're going to keep watching it here, obviously, every day, and to see what's going on. So please go check out that other video about the complete garbage numbers, again, coming out of the government, and all the headlines. Like, I just showed like 12 headlines of all these jobs being lost everywhere. And then all of a sudden it was like, we gained 517,000 in the jobs report for the month. I mean, just, come on, clown world. So get prepared. Gold, silver, Bitcoin, food, storage, water, ammo, security, building community. Number one thing at the end of the day. Build your community. Be prepared. When you are prepared, you feel, it's like when you're taking a test and you've studied for months and you know this thing through and through. How confident do you feel going into that, right? When you're tested and this is the same thing we're going to. We don't know. We know we're in a culture war. We're in we are in a culture war, a cyber war, bio war. It's psychological, it's monetary. We are in a massive war for really propaganda and people's minds right now. So what are we going to do? How are we going to prepare? The only way I know is to get the mind right, get the body right, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, make sure we have control of our money, our assets, our resources, and we are bearing them as much as we humanly can, because we know we are going to mass chaos going forward. If not this year, next 6 months, year, we know this decade is coming. It's absolutely coming. We're in the fourth turning. So we know sometime next decade, even 2 decades, we'll call it. I'm in my 30s, and so I'm in my mid-30s, so I've seen a lot of this happen already, and I know I've got a long way to go, and a lot of these waves I have to correct, and get my family through. So let's do this together. Let's build this together. Please share this with someone you think might need to hear this, or who has been talking about this, and please, let's build this community together. Let's get it out, share it, and appreciate your time and energy. It's the most important asset we have, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.